Ireland says successful completes final bailout review. Dueling Ireland has successfully passed its leader's final review of an €85 billion bailout, paving the way for it to complete the aid deal in December. Its financial ministry said on Thursday. This is a significant day that many thought, and some feared, would never be reached. Finance Minister Michael Noona told reporters. The country of 4.6 million has endured 5 years of austerity and is now a much-needed success story for the European Union, which wants to show that the discipline of tax hikes and spending cuts can work. Robot cashier learning to handle knives safely. Before humans can trust robots to work as grocery store cashier, these machines will have to prove they can do certain things, like not squeezing or perfect heirloom tomatoes or stabbing us with new kitchen knives at the checkout line. A group of researchers at Cornell University is teaching a robot dubbed the Baxter how to handle properly and safely a variety of objects, from sharp knives to egg cartons, based on human feedback in a grocery store scenario. We give the robot a lot of flexibility in learning. Ash Holtush Saxena, an assistant professor of computer science at Coronado, said in a statement, the robot can learn from corrective human feedback in order to plan its actions that are suitable to the environment and the objects present. For their experiment, Saxena and colleagues had a Baxter robot set up as a cashier in a mock checkout line. Baxter is a cheap, flexible robot built by Boston-based startup called Rethink Robotics. It was primarily designed to work in assembly line alongside people, but Baxter's learning skill also make it an easy-to-teach cashier. As this video of the knife-wielding robot shows, the researchers are teaching Baxter how to handle different items by manually correcting Baxter's arm motion. If the robot swings a sharp kitchen knife, for example, too close to the human paying customers at the checkout, a researcher could grab Baxter's arm and guide it into the right direction. Over time, the robot learns to associate different trajectories with different objects, such as a quick flip for a cereal box or a delicate lift for a carton of eggs. The researcher says Senex and colleagues will present their work at the Neuron Information Processing System conference in Lake Toy Cliff next month, but an early version of their research paper is available on. A 3-man crew successfully blasted off into space with the Olympic torch on Tuesday, ready to take it on its first spacewalk in what they said would be a spectacular showcase for the 2014 Winter Games in Sochi. Japan's Koichi Wakata pumped the air with his first as the Soyuz rocket painted with snowflake patterns took off a crisp morning. An onboard camera showed it. The crew sat beneath a stuffed polar bear wrapped in a blue scarf, a Scotch mascot. The space flight is part of what will be the longest torch relay before the Winter Olympics, which presents Vladimir Putin hopes will boost Russia's image and show what it can achieve. More than 2 decades of the Soviet Union collapsed. Less than 6 hours after the launch, Russian Mickey Hall Turner, American Ricky Mastrocchio, and Waka will deliver the torch to the International Space Station. It's just an outstanding day and a spectacular launch. William Gerstenmaier, NASA's Associated Administrator for Human Exploration and Operation, told Reuters, "I get the privilege of understanding what goes on behind the scene. It's not easy and it is not routine. It is still a marvel to me when I see it." Their families and other spectacular watched the rocket disappeared into the blue sky, leaving a trail of blazing light. Mission Control announced Seoul's TMA 11M is in orbit to please. For safety reasons, the torch will not be lit in what could be a relief for Russian after the flame went out several times since the relay began last month. We will have a kind of relay of our own with this torch. Veteran continued. Tyrion, 53 years old, told a news conference at Baikonur Cosmodrome, which Moscow rents from Kazakhstan, on the eve of his launch. Tyrion will hand off the torch to fellow cosmonauts Oleg Kotov and Sergei Raska, who will take it outside the airlock on Saturday. Spectacular. The Olympic torch has gone into space twice before, in 1996 and 2000, but it has never been taken on a spacewalk. Our goal here is to make it look spectacular, Kotov told reporters before his mission began. We'd like to showcase our Olympic torch in space. Millions of people will see it live on TV, and they will see the station and see how we work. While the red and silver torch designed to evoke the feature of a firebird from Russia's Flogru is taken outside space station, 2,050 miles above Earth, the flame will remain lit on the ground below, as well as replacing the gas flame. Russian engineers have equipped the torch with a tether to keep it from floating out of the cosmonauts' grip in weightlessness. It was reworked so that it doesn't fly away, said Sergei, head of the cosmonaut training center outside Moscow. As part of its 65,000 km relay, the torch has traveled to the North Pole on an atomic-powered icebreaker. It will still go to the peak of Europe's highest mountain, Mount Elbrus, and the depths of Simbirsk Lake Baikal, before reaching Sochi on the Black Sea for the start of the Games on February 7. The Olympics are huge international events that takes many countries cooperating and work together to pull off such a tremendous event, Maestreccio 53 told reporters. So in a small way, I think it's great that we bring this symbol up to the International Space Station, which is another representation of international cooperation. The torch-beam trio arrived at the orbital station, a 100 billion project of 15 nations, will briefly swell its crew to 9 people, the most on board the outpost since America's last shuttle mission in 2011. The torch will be brought back to Earth by Russian Fyodor Yarichyn, American astronaut Karen Nyberg, and European space agent astronaut Luca Permitano on November 11th. Have a cracked iPhone screen? Apple feels your pain. According to 9to5Mac source, Apple will soon start offering to replace customers' cracked iPhone displays in Apple stores as part of the company's new on-the-spot iPhone repairing program. Apparently, Apple will supply its stores with machines that are designed specially to replace broken touchscreens on iPhone 5s and iPhone 5C. 9to5Mac notes that although the screen replacements cost $159 for each device, this price point is significantly more affordable than the several $100s required to completely replace a device with a damaged, cracked screen. Display replacements aren't the only in-store iPhone repairs opinions that iPhone is working on, as 9to5Mac says that the company will also start replacing iPhone's broken volume buttons, batteries, vibrating motors, rear-facing cameras, and even their speakers. The day Abraham Lincoln was elected president. On November 6, 1860, voters in the United States went to the polls in an election that ended with Abraham Lincoln as president, in an act that led to the Civil War. But Lincoln's actual victory didn't happen on that day, and his victory wasn't assured for months. Lincoln was the candidate of the newly created Republican Party, which officially wanted to limit the expansion of slavery. The rival Democrats had split into 2 factions, with Steve Douglas and John Breckinridge running against Lincoln, and another new party, the Constitutional Union Party, also fielding a candidate. Lincoln was home in Springfield, Illinois, awaiting news of the national vote. He needed a minor of votes in the election college to win the election. It was assumed that he would have the most popular votes because of the GOP strengthened in the North and West, but he was also assured of not having a major of the popular votes. Based on previous warnings from southern states, it was expected that at least 7 states would take steps to leave the Union if and when Lincoln was elected, and well before he was inaugurated as president in March 1861. On the New York Times Disunion blog, there is a detailed depiction from Jane Melnowski of the screen in Springfield as news of the national votes rolled in. Lincoln and his team humbled in a telegraph office waiting for the key result from New York and Pennsylvania. The advisor paged the floorboards, jumping at every eruption of the rapid clacking of Moore's machine, while the normie parked on the couch, seeming at ease with either outcome awaiting him, said Melkashi. Shortly before 2 a.m., Lincoln election was confirmed in a telegram from New York. As the wild public celebration started, Lincoln calmly walked home, told his wife he'd won the election, and he returned in for the evening. As the votes were counted, Lincoln had about 40% of the popular vote and 180 electoral votes, compared with 133 for his opponents combined. But the southern section threats cast a pall over the upcoming election college voting process. What if the southern state refused to take part in the electoral college? Or what if a unfilled front to avoid sections could convince enough faithless electors to switch sides to derail the election? Lincoln expert Howard Hauser detailed that problem in an essay for the Glenn-Lerman Institute. Lincoln and his inner circle worried that democracy electors might yet unfold around a single candidate, or worse, that Republicans worried about sections might themselves look for alternatives to Lincoln. Hauser said, in fact, several New York Republicans did suggest dumping Lincoln in order to save the Union. And what if the southern states boycotted the electoral college? If these states did not participate in the traditional process, could the electoral college proceed? What would constitute a quorum? No one, least of all Lincoln, knew the answers to this vexing question, said Hauser. In the end, the southern states did take part in electoral college process, and the Lincoln's election was certified in Congress in February 1961. But there was an extra military presence on Capitol Hill during that process. By the time Lincoln became president in March 1861, replacing the ineffective James Buchanan, 7 southern states had left the Union, all before Lincoln's election was certified on February 15, 1861 in Congress. And there was one vote Lincoln did not get on November 6th, his own. In a public display, Lincoln cut his own name out of the paper, ballot he cast a Springfield polling place that afternoon. Perfect passer pulled away from Bulls for 97-80 win. After spending the off-season and present taking openly about challenging Miami for the Eastern Conference title, the Pacers have backed their words with results. They have been on Wednesday against their 5-seed Central Division rival. Indiana spent 3 and 2.5 quarter trading jabs with Derrick Rose and the Bulls before using a 12-4 quarter run to break open the game and eventually pull away for a 90-80 victory. Their second in 2 nights. Their most lopsided this season and their 5th straight to remain the NBA's last unbeaten team. We're deep and we have a lot of guys who contribute and make play. Forward David West said after finishing with 17 points and 13 rebounds, both season highs. That's what we're going to need as the year wears on. So far, there's been little to quibble with. At 5-0, the Pacers are off to their best start since 1971 to 1972, when they were an ABA contender. They can match the Francis best start ever with a win Friday night at home against Toronto. Paul George came into the game ranked number 2 in the league in scoring and finished with 21 points and 6 rebounds. West and Roy Hibbert have provided the inside muscle. Lance Stephenson has been surprisingly strong through the first 5 games, and the scariest part is that the Pacers aren't even at full strength yet. Starting point guard George Hill missed his third straight game with a short left hip, and former All-Star Danny Granger hasn't played at all because of a strange left cough. But even without 2 key contributors, Indiana has looked incredibly strong, thanks in large part to a revamped bench that came up big again Wednesday night. Newcomers Lou Scola and Donald Sloan teamed up with Stephenson to score 22 of Indiana's 34 fourth quarter points, including all of the points in the device 12-2 spurts. That's just how Larry Bird drew it up. Stephenson finished with 15 points, 12 in the fourth quarter. Sloan had 9 and Scola had 12. It's a great win, big for us, Scola said. The fact that we have started 5-0, we have created a little window between us and the all other playoff contenders. The key will be holding that lead. Indiana is in the midst of a 5-game in 7-day stretch that has already taken them to Detroit before coming home for a game with the Bulls and Raptors. On Saturday, they head to Brooklyn, then come home Monday to face Miller Fins. Chicago, meanwhile, is already fighting an uphill battle. The Bulls are now 2 and a half games behind in the standing and down a game in the crucial head-to-head series between the last 2 Central Division champs. Rose and Lou Dink each scored 70 points Wednesday, but Rose's shooting woes continued. He was 5 of 9 from the floor in the first half and only 1 of 6 in the second half to finish 6 of 15. Just slightly better than the shooting percentage he brought into the game, 28.8. Kirk Hinch scored 12 points and was the only other Chicago player to reach double figures. We got beat in every set of the game. The rebounding, the defense transition turned it over. Coach Tom Thibodeau said, "We have to play 48 minutes with a good team. especially in a game that looked more like a title fight than a basketball game. Bodies crashed hard to the court all night, and the game got progressively more physical with each quarter. Passer backed up center lane. Miami left late in the third quarter with a sprained left ankle and did not return. Henrich was called for a flagrant fall in the fourth. There was a resounding thud inside Bankers Life Fieldhouse, too, when Chicago center Joakim Noah hit the court while trying to protect his own basket late in the fourth. Perhaps that's why Rose spent the first half of the fourth quarter on the bench. Even though Solon and Stephenson gave Indiana the upper hand. Solon tied the score at 76 with a 17-foot jumper. Stevenson gave Indiana the lead with a 3. Scola followed that with consecutive basket, and Stephenson closed the run with another 3 to make it 77-96 with 5 minutes and 60 seconds to go. Chicago never seriously changed again as the passer pulled away. We just play hard. We feel like we're going to win it every night on the defense end, offensive end, and we're going to find a way to get that. Stevenson said, and we did that tonight. Burger King's new Big King looks a lot like a Big Mac. You may recognize that familiar Jungle 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a same-seed bun, as the icon he used to describe McDonald's Big Mac. You may also recognize Burger King's new Big King burger, as it looks a lot like a Big Mac, with 2 beef patties, lettuce, onions, cheese, and special sauce. Despite the familiar ingredients all the way down to the third bun, Burger King tells ABC News it doesn't taste like the Big Mac because of the way the burger is prepared. It's fire-grilled. The Big King is also 40 calories less than its rival. Brooklyn resident T.Y. Gills, who eats from both burger chains, sold out Big King on the first day it launched. After the first few bites, he smelled and nodded. It's very juicy, he said. The sauce is different. I don't know what's in the sauce, but the sauce is good, he added between bites. The addition of a Big Mac look-alike is not the first copycat move Burger King has made when it comes to its menu. In the last year, Burger King has added several of Mikey D's staples, including chicken snack wraps, special coffee drinks, and a rib sandwich to rival the McRib. Scout Hunt, a blogger from BurgerBusiness.com, said sales in $200 billion fast food industry are flattering. The restaurant industry has a long, proud history of borrowing ideas from each other, he said. It's tight economic market, so you don't want to gamble on something that customers might not like, added.